get into this. What's good, YouTube? What's really good, actually, because I haven't been on YouTube since 1985. So if you've seen my old videos and you've stuck around for the past 3-4 years without a new one, hi, hello, how are you? Sorry. I am so glad to be back, especially at a time in my life where I feel like I've shedded my old skin and I'm radiating into this new skin, this new life, this new journey, life experience, all that. So hi. So as you can see, this video is going to be about how I moved to Miami by myself. Not really by myself, because I have my little pup here. Let's get into the video. Let's just get right into it, okay? So let's start with the background. I've wanted to move to Miami since I was 12. Since I was 12, I was in middle school. I met my two best friends in middle school, and surprisingly enough, they had the same dream to move to Miami as well. We went through our whole middle school, high school, college, present day lives just talking about Miami and how badly we wanted to move there. We've always had the dream to come together, to find our own apartment together, and that's always just been something that we've kept alive within our friendship. That's kind of how my background with Miami kind of started, I guess, when I was 12. Don't really know how it came to be Miami specifically. For some reason, it was just always this particular city. Don't really know why, but as I got older, I started to realize what my love and preference for the kind of life I wanted to live was, and then the idea of Miami became more clear, and it made sense as to why I wanted to move here as I got older. So some of those things are, I love warm weather. I prefer warm weather over cold any day, all the time. I also love to be naked. In public, I like to wear as little clothes as possible. I'm just the most comfortable, I'm the most liberated. I feel great when I'm able to embrace myself and, you know, my body and things like that. And you can't really do that in New York in terms of like wearing as little clothes as possible, because it's always cold. It's always cold. In the summer, it's like my favorite time of year in New York, but I wanted to do all year round. Any reason, any excuse that I had to wear as little clothes as possible, I would. So Miami is the perfect city for that. And I also love to party. I love to party. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do none of that, but I love to party, I love to dance. Miami is also very known for that. I love the water, I love aquatics and aquatic sports and jet skiing and all that fun stuff always excited me. I have two best friends. One of them was really like serious and keen on moving here. So we were the main two that kind of stayed connected on that dream and idea. So we kept talking throughout the years about, you know, bringing that dream to life. And towards the end of college, she was like, look, I've really been thinking about it, and she was sending me apartments, I was sending her apartments, so the dream was becoming more real and real. At the time that she wanted to move, I was in a really serious relationship. The person that I was with was not trying to move, so I was like, okay, give me some more time. And you know, the person I was with kept telling me, oh, ask me in a couple months, ask me in a couple years, da da da. So I'm like, okay, let's wait a little bit longer, let's fill it out, you know, let me warm him up to it, let's go visit and things like that. So months went by, a year went by, and he was not warming up to it. And my best friend was kind of waiting on me to be like, okay, well, I've given you a long time and I've actually started to save already. What's good? And I was just like, it's just not the time. Long story short, that relationship ended. At the end of that relationship, I remember calling my best friend and I was like, what's stopping us from moving right now? When I asked her that question, like, what's really stopping us, we were both like, money. We was like, okay, copy, cool. So from our research of looking at apartments and stuff, we kind of had an idea of how much we wanted to pay for rent and what the market was like for apartments and studios and 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms. We kind of had a general idea of how much we would need to pay for rent. We had the idea, we pulled out our phone and was like, so if we moved in 3 months and we saved X, Y, and Z amount a week, we could move to Miami. And we literally did all of that in maybe a span of 10 minutes. And after we did that, it was just, everything changed. It was go time. Our plan was, we were gonna save about $250 a week. That was something that we were both comfortable with our current jobs and things like that. So save about $250 a week. At the end of the month, it should come out to $1,000. We started saving in December. We started saving in December. So we had December, January, and the end of February, and we wanted to move the second week of March. So in those 3 months, we made a decision to save $250 a week in order to be able to move in 3 months. $250 a week. At the end of the month, it should be $1,000 a month, and $3,000 between the both of us. We felt like it was good enough to be able to move. And then when we got there, figured things out with the job and had savings from before that we carried over. We had a bunch of different alternatives to where that amount would work for us. And so once we decided that, it was go time. It was go time. So for me personally, what I did, every check that I got, I actually got paid weekly. So that was perfect. Every check that I got, I put $250 aside. No matter how much the check was, even though it was roughly around the same amount, $250, did not touch $250 aside. And that is what I did for 3 months. I had days where I ate only fruits, where I ate only ramen, where I ate just not full meals because of this particular saving that I was doing. Don't necessarily recommend it, but I was kind of in a desperate situation, I guess. I don't really want to use that word, but it was, I feel like it was definitely a desperate situation in terms of I wanted to move fast and I didn't have a lot of time to get things together and to do it. So I had to save what I needed to save in order to go and do what I wanted to do. After the 3 months, after I did all that I could to save as much as I could, I even saved a little bit over $3,000. I had my money to go, and I remember calling her up and being like, bro, I saved this amount, I finally hit this goal. Like when I reached my first 1,000, oh my gosh, everything was just coming to life, and I was so happy and I was ready to be out of here. But once 3 months was up, I had my portion saved, and my best friend, she didn't have her portion saved. For her own reasons, and reasons I'm not going to get into because it is her life, it's her personal life. Long story short, I was able to save my amount and she wasn't able to save her amount. So come to, what are we in now? The end of February, the beginning of March. So as I mentioned, I wanted to move the second week of March. And as the time went on, second week of March came, I was still in New York. Third week came, still in New York. Fourth week, it got to the point where it was January, March, April that I still hadn't moved. And it was probably the toughest, most depressing, honestly, months from February, March, and April to the beginning of May. So for those 4 months, or 3 and some change months, I was super down. I was really sad. I wasn't happy at all because this was something that I worked really hard on working for, and it just didn't seem like it was possible. Everything just seemed impossible. I was getting parking tickets, my bills were adding up, my best friend, she was going through her own things, and everything just seemed like it wasn't happening for us. It felt like God was like, maybe you guys should move next year, maybe this is not the right time, you guys rushed into this is not the right moment to start this journey. And it was just really sad to go through that. And it got to a point where my best friend wasn't able to come with me anymore. So I had decisions to make in regards to whether I wanted to stay longer in New York and find an apartment there and move the next year, or should I move by myself. Never done that before. Don't really have that much money to move alone. A bunch of stuff. I was going through so many thoughts throughout those months that I was still left in New York. It was crazy. But finally, the decision had been made that I will be leaving by myself, doing the road trip by myself, living by myself, just being out here, every single thing by myself. So when it got to that point, I was freaking out because I was like, I was not prepared to move to a whole new state by myself and not have any support, not have any friends down here, not have any family down here. I just wasn't prepared for that. But I also had the thoughts and had people behind me that were like, girl, this is something you've been talking about for literally over a decade. You need to go. You need to go. And I was like, I know, but I saved this amount of money and like I don't think it's enough. I don't have a job down there yet. I can't save enough to actually go. And what if I don't get a job? I'm gonna be homeless and starve, and my puppy's gonna starve. And so many thoughts. And these people were like, girl, you'll be fine. You have set your mind to this for so long, you're gonna make it work. You're not the type of person that, you know, would just give up or won't have your stuff together to the point where you're not able to do what you want to do. And as they kept talking, I was like, you right. As they kept talking, it just became more and more true to me. And I was like, you are absolutely correct. I need to, if I want this, I need to do everything I can to make it happen. And that's exactly what I did. I was in New York from February to the beginning of May from February to the beginning of April, I want to say, without a job. And it got to the point where I was gonna have to start using the savings that I had piling up in order to move here. And that could not happen. By any means necessary, I was not letting that happen. So what I did was, my last month of being in New York, I actually worked for Grubhub. Grubhub was good. Thank you for giving me my coin. And I was able to save just the right amount to pay off some of my bills before I left, and the right amount to still hang out with friends and to buy myself food and get my puppy some food and kind of survive for the rest of the time that I was going to be in New York. Because if I didn't do that, I would have had to start using the money that I had saved to actually move, and like for the deposit, for the rent, things like that. And I didn't want that to happen. So I worked for Grubhub, saved that right amount of money, and I was set. Throughout this whole entire time, I went through 3 real estate agents, okay? The first one, she was horrible, horrible. Like, to the point where me and my friend were like, if we need to go down to Miami to tell her what's good, like what's good. But she was horrible, bro. She was really bad. She was giving us false information. So many things went wrong with her, so we dubbed her. The second one, she was more communicative and she was extremely helpful. She was honest, but after a while, she became less communicative and we dubbed her too. When it got to the point where I realized that I would be moving by myself, I had to then find a third real estate agent to help me on the journey of moving alone. That real estate agent is the one that stuck with me throughout this entire moving experience, and to this day I appreciate her so much, and she's been the most helpful person, one of the most helpful people in this entire journey. So one of my main advice to people who want to move out of state or to Miami is to get yourself a real estate agent. Whether you are able to come here and visit the apartments yourself, getting a real estate agent will help weed out scams, because there are a lot of scams. Speaking about Miami specifically, and I'm sure in a lot of other places too, but here there are so many scams in Miami that if you don't have a real estate agent, even if the page looks legit and all that stuff, real estate agents know how to look for like certain companies or certain real estate management groups or whatever, to where they're like, nope, it's by that real estate group. They don't do good business. They're a scam. They know how to weed them out. So I'm so grateful that I ended up working with a real estate agent, because if I hadn't, I feel like I would have ended up in some crazy. So I got myself a good real estate agent, and she was sending me apartments every single day. If I didn't like certain, like a list that she would send me, like an apartment list that she would send me, she'll then send me another 10. The next day, oh, you didn't find nothing? Okay, here's another 10. And then she kept doing that until we finally found one apartment that was over my budget. It was definitely over my budget, but after I worked out the numbers, I was like, okay, I could do this. I could do this. I think I could do this. And I was like, okay, let's do this one. From the moment we saw that apartment, like virtually on the computer, the next day she went to go visit it for me. She sent me videos, she sent me pictures, she told me what I have to send her in order to get the process started, how much the deposit would be, all that jazz. She sent it to me. And once it was all clear, and once I agreed with everything, whether I agreed, disagreed, and we worked out the little nooks and crannies, I sent her everything that I needed to send her to get that apartment. At the time that we found this apartment, my goal was to move by May 1st. It was already towards the end of April, and when we found this apartment, I had maybe 2.5 weeks left before it was May 1st and before I needed to be in Miami. So that's how long I gave myself and my agent to find a place in order for me to move when I needed to move. We communicated with the apartment, and there's things here called associations. I never really had to experience any associations elsewhere. Here specifically, then again, I haven't moved many places outside of New York, but here, if you want to look for an apartment, you're going to experience certain apartments where you have to go through an association in order to get approved. These associations, I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. They take forever to approve you for an application, and it's not because, a lot of the times it's not because there's something wrong with your application. A lot of the times there's so many associations and so many people within that association, and because it's Florida and it's a vacation spot, a lot of people, my agent told me this, a lot of locals have told me this, that because it's a vacation spot, people take their time. They're not like in New York, you gotta get stuff done. There's deadlines, there's this, there's that, people waiting on this, people waiting on that. Here, they do not give no craps about who's waiting where, no matter what situation you're in, they gonna take their time. So they definitely took their time, but the reason I went with them was because they told me I had 10 days. They would let me know in 10 days whether or not I was approved for this apartment. 10 days had came by, they still didn't let me know anything. I was supposed to move May 1st. On the 10th day that they were supposed to let me know something, it was 3 days until May 1st. So up until 3 days before I was supposed to move, I didn't know that I was gonna actually move. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So they told me it would take 10 days to let me know if I was approved or not. On the 10th day, 3 days after that 10th day, I was supposed to be in Miami. So on May 1st, when I was supposed to move, they still hadn't let me know whether I had my apartment or not. The reason I was supposed to make sure I was here on May 1st is because the connections that I had for a job, they also wanted me here on May 1st. And I knew that if I wasn't here on May 1st, that they were going to give the job to somebody else. And this was super important in my moving process, because this was the main thing that I was concerned about, was moving here without a job solidified. And my agent was like, I know, I'm so sorry, it's out of my control. There's nothing I can do as far as getting your application moved quicker. She was contacting the association, contacting the landlord, contacting everybody that needed to be contacted in order to get my stuff expedited. She wasn't able to do it, and I packed my car and I left anyway. I packed my car with my pup, everything that I could possibly fit in my car. I fit in the back of my car, and I was on my way to Miami on the end of April, basically. Not knowing if my apartment was solidified, not knowing if my job was solidified. I left anyway. This road trip took about over 30 hours. So I drove alone with my pup for over 30 hours on the road to get here. Yeah, what's good? It was a long drive. I do not plan on doing that again, no sir. But it was an experience, and I'm glad I got to do it. I'm glad I could say that I did it, especially by myself. And then when I got here, still nothing was solidified, and my agent actually let me stay with her during the time that my application for my apartment was being approved. This is why you need a real estate agent, not because they will go these lengths for you, because 99.99% of them will not, but my agent was an angel. She was a saint, and she really, really helped me. So she let me stay in her apartment until my application was approved. My application was finally approved on May 3rd, so I spent 2 days in her apartment. And I didn't mention, on the day that I got here, as soon as I got here, I dropped all my stuff off at my agent's house, and I went another 3 hours to Miami, because my agent is further up in Florida. Miami's down here. My agent lived up here, Miami was down here. I drove another 2-3 hours to Miami in order to meet my current boss for my job. I hadn't slept, I hadn't eaten, I hadn't showered, nothing. I changed my clothes just to look a bit fresher, and was like, I was sweating, stuff like that, and I had to meet her the same exact day that I arrived here. So in between that, I didn't have any sleep, no nothing. It was insane. Pulled up to my boss like, skirt, let's go with that job though. Fortunately, I got the job, and I was on my road to starting my new life in Miami, and that's how I got here, folks. So that basically sums up how your girl EJ got to Miami by herself with her 1-year-old pup. And yeah, I'm sure I left out some things, but those were the major points and major reasons as to why and how I got to this point. So now I'm going to finish up this video with doing a quick Q&A. My camera's actually about to die, so I'm going to try and go through these quickly. So the first question is, how did you save? So as mentioned earlier, I saved $250 a week for 3 months. And those 3 months, I saved a total of $1,000. And that's basically my initial chunk of savings that I did not touch up until the time that I got here. I used that for my apartment deposit. I used that during my road trip. I used that to survive until, you know, my job actually kicked off. I used that for my pup and his needs. So I saved with the bare minimum. I saved. If you are somebody who is looking to move quickly, I feel like this is a good video for you, because I saved with literally the bare minimum of nothing. What inspired you to move to Miami? What inspired me was mainly the weather. I love being naked. As mentioned before, I love wearing as little clothes as possible. And Miami just was always an attraction to me, and I visited 2 times before actually moving here. Another main reason that I chose to live in Miami is because I've been modeling since I was 3. I'm heavily involved into fashion. They're full of modeling agencies, and one of my most recent goals is to get involved with more swimwear, and Miami is perfect for that. I also have an online clothing store called Bare Edge. It is spelled B-A-R-E, separate word, E-J. And I actually launched it while going through this whole transitional period, and I am beyond excited and very much looking forward to expanding it while I'm here in Miami. It's been on hold for a moment while I'm in transition, because my business is also in transition with the move. I don't have any employees or people to work for me or to handle the business side of things, because I am just one person running it. But I would love for you guys to check out my shop if you haven't already. I'm going to leave my social medias down there below, as well as the website. So I'm also excited to see where my business goes. How did I afford it? Basically answered that earlier. Saved for 3 months, bare minimum, $3,000. After everything you have become now, do you ever wish you could go back to where you once was before? I'm not too sure if I'm going to answer this question right, but what I think you're asking is, after everything that I've been through now, do I wish I could go back and change or wish for how things was before? No. Hell no. I have never been this happy, this liberated, this empowered in a really long time. And a lot of that has to do with me being able to pull this off by myself. I remember telling myself and my friends that if I can pull this off to where I'm moving to a completely different state with no family, no friends, no one supporting me or helping me finance my trip, me saving completely on my own with barely any money, like just the right amount of money to barely get by. If I could pull this off, I could do anything. I can set my mind to anything and do any and everything that I want to do in life. And I pulled it off. I pulled it off, and I'm so proud of myself. And I'm so happy that I made the decision to still go, even though all the odds seem to be up against me. And I wouldn't change anything. Somebody said I did what I did, and I got here how I got here. So I'm very extremely happy and grateful that things turned out the way that they still have a long way to go, because I've only been here for a little over a week or a week now. And there's still more to come, and I'm sure more obstacles to come, but I wouldn't go back and change anything. I wouldn't. The next question, and the last question that I'm going to do for today, is what was the biggest obstacle and how did you overcome it? Ooh. Wow, there were so many obstacles, but I think the main obstacle, to be honest, was saving. As far as making sure I had enough to pull everything together, that was extremely difficult. But it got to that point where I was like, man, by the amount that I saved, I'm only able to survive for like a month. Don't recommend that at all, but if you're looking to go for with the bare minimum, listen, do what you gotta do. And I did what I had to do. And so that was the biggest obstacle, was saving. And the way that I overcame it, as I said earlier, I did Grubhub. I did Grubhub for the last month that I was in New York, and that helped me pay for my bills while I was still there. That helped me save some extra money for the road trip, for gas and for food, for me and my pup. And that helped me get here, essentially. I did everything myself, and that was also very hard. But I think, yeah, the biggest obstacle was saving. The way I did it was to find other sources of income that were practical and that I could see myself doing, and that's what I did to make extra money. So that is the end of the video, everyone. I hope that in some way this video has motivated you to follow your dream. This is gonna sound cliche as hell, but it is the most true thing when you have experienced it. Follow your dreams. Do what you set your mind to, because even if all the odds are against you, you can still make shit happen. I came here not knowing where I was gonna live. I came here not knowing whether or not I had a job, whether or not I was gonna have to be shipped back to New York in the next couple of weeks because I ran out of cash and my pup and I are here homeless and starving. Like, you know what I mean? All the odds were against me and I was still able to pull it off. So it's a great feeling. It's an amazing feeling. It's a liberating feeling. And I feel so good and so happy and so proud that I got to this point. And I hope in some way that this video motivated you to just go for it. Like, literally just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Because if you don't, you're gonna spend too much time in your thoughts and in your feelings and in your mental, that it's gonna stop you from doing what you set your mind to. Even if the odds are against you, even if people are like, bro, you're crazy. People are like, you're gonna do the road trip alone? You're gonna do this alone? You're gonna do by yourself? What? And I was like, do I have a choice? I wasn't gonna force people to come with me. I wasn't gonna wait on other people to come with me. I had a deadline and I needed to make that deadline happen regardless of anything. I obviously wasn't gonna do anything extremely dangerous in order to make it happen, but I did what I had to do and I made it work, and it was practical, it was safe. My dog and I survived. We're living, we are in a great location. The beach is right there, the pool is right there. It's amazing being here, and I'm so happy that I did it. And if I didn't do it, I can't even tell you how sad I would be if I was still in the position that I was in a couple weeks ago. With that said, thank you so much for tuning in. If you want an update video about how everything is unfolding and what's going on, just let me know. Would be glad to do that. But I am excited to also get back into the YouTube community and to bring you guys some new and updated content. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye. Little Raffy Raff wanted to say goodbye. Say bye-bye, baby. You was making all that noise back there. And now you want to be silent. Oh, he sees somebody walking out the window. Yeah, so we're right in front of the window, if you can see right there. Still need to furnish this place. I've only lived here for a little over a week now, so I'm excited to get some decor. And yeah, that is it. Say bye-bye, baby. Bye-bye. He is not paying attention to y'all at all, but he says bye.